Take a deep breath, take the higher road. That's what they always say, as if they know the way. They won't take it from me. But don't ever doubt yourself, 'cause life ain't just a dream. You made your own, so kick and scream. The people will act with a never-ending force. You never had the chance, so what you waiting for? The day has come, my friend, 'cause this is war. It's time and this is war.
What we're living through right now is nothing short of a spiritual revolution. More and more of us are waking up, not just to the corruption of broken systems, but to the truth of who we are. We're realizing that healing isn't just about the physical body. It's about shedding layers of programming, trauma, and fear that were never ours to begin with. And once you begin to see, really see, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to sleep. You can't pretend the system that harmed you is ever going to heal you. That's the first crack. And through that crack, light gets in. But this awakening, it's not a trend. It's not a phase. It's a return to what's real, what's sacred, and what's sovereign. It's the dismantling of the lie that someone else knows what's best for you, whether that be a politician, a doctor, or a media outlet. Healing ourselves is how we create new systems, not by begging the old ones to change, but by remembering our power, reclaiming our wholeness, and building something entirely new. Systems rooted in love, in freedom, in truth. So if you're feeling the nudge, if you're seeing through the cracks and wondering what comes next, this conversation is for you. We are here to explore the truth behind the headlines, challenge mainstream narratives, and uncover the deeper realities shaping our health, freedom, and collective awakening. Because this is how we rise, one healed heart at a time. You're listening to Nurses Out Loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton. Before we get started today, I do want to encourage our listeners, if you have questions or comments, or perhaps you want to share your own experiences with what you're seeing on the front lines of healthcare, you can now submit those to us directly by visiting our website at nursesoutloud.com. We would love to hear from you. We encourage all of you to engage in the battle and find your voice in this fight. But until you are able to do that, we will continue to be that voice for you. My guest today is someone who needs no introduction for many of us who came of age in the early 90s. He captured America's attention as one of the original cast members of MTV's The Real World New York, a groundbreaking show that introduced us to the concept of reality TV. He then went on to host MTV's The Grind, becoming one of the most recognizable faces in reality television, reaching 90 million viewers around the world. He was inducted into the Television Hall of Fame as a pioneer of reality television. But what you may not know is the incredible transformation that's taken place in his life since then. Eric Nies is no longer just the model, actor, or television heartthrob defined by Hollywood. He is now a spiritual guide, a healer, a truth teller, someone who's used his own journey through addiction, trauma, and awakening to help others remember who they truly are. We're diving deep today into healing, consciousness, and the systems that keep us asleep, from entertainment to pharmaceuticals. And yes, we're going to go there. We're going to talk COVID, the vaccines, and what it really means to break free from mass programming. Eric, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Hi, Kimberly. You're
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you
I'm
for
so
having me.
excited. I'm so
That was
excited to
a
have you.
that was a wonderful introduction. You're really good at this.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
I'll tell you. I'll say this. I'm trying really hard not to fangirl, but I mean, the reality, I was a fan. I was a huge fan of The Real World. And I just recently, having, seen, as I told you earlier when we spoke, having seen you and realizing what you were doing now, I was so intrigued and reached out, never expecting to hear back from you.
Aw.
I really didn't expect to get a reply, but I did, and I'm just so grateful and so humbled that you took the time to spend with me today, and we talked about quite a bit, and that you agreed to come on and join me here. I think this is going to be a real treat for my listeners. So thank you so much.
Yeah, well, not only did you not expect to get a response, but this happened in about 48 hours now.
It did. I was like, no, he didn't respond back to me, and like so quickly. I was like, I'm not even that good at checking my and responding to my emails. So truly, truly appreciate you. Yes, it's so yeah. If you're thinking, oh my God, I should do this, I should reach out to this person or that person, do it because you just never know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. But let's take it back for a minute. Going back to the real, you were just 20 years old, right? When you were introduced
Hmm.
to us on the Real World. Now that show was revolutionary. I mean,
Yeah, changed the face of television and also opened up the door for social media and a lot of the things that we see on social media today. But I think the big takeaway for me is the real world. For me personally, it opened up the door for people to be authentic,
yeah.
transparent, vulnerable, and to speak their unforgiving truth
Yeah,
in a.
I would
Mhm.
definitely agree with that. But that experience, I mean, it had to have been just absolutely surreal. You became a household name pretty much overnight. What, in hindsight, was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was incredible. It was an amazing journey because, for me, because I'm really the only one out of the seven that experienced what I did so quickly. Because right after the real world happened and we got all this attention and we're doing interviews with the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and everything, I quickly became the host of The Grind. And The Grind really catapulted me into a reality, an experience of people recognizing me, um, and the fame factor, it like quadrupled, like you said, overnight. Like the real world came out, and it was the first time that anybody had ever seen a program like that. And so that kind of took time to, I would say, catch fire, you know, because, people saw that episode, they saw it and they're like, "Oh, this is new, this is different. It's kind of like a soap opera, but these people are real." So it took a little while for people to wrap their heads around that, and it really, like I said, caught fire after probably the third season, second and third season. But the grind, I was following in the footsteps of, people like Dick Clark, Downtown Julie Brown. So dance shows were around already. And, when I became the host of The Grind, that's when everything really exploded. And I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't walk into a mall. I was recognized everywhere I went. And my life just really dramatically changed after that.
I bet. I mean, it must have been such a dichotomy, just being adored by millions of people around the world, but also you're living under a microscope. And, is that when you began to kind of realize that something deeper was off about that whole industry, or did that come much later?
Well, for me, because I'm a thinker and I'm a questioner.
Hmm.
So, and I want answers and I want to understand things and I'm curious. I carried around a curious George with me my whole childhood. So, when I was under that microscope, that kind of triggered me to put myself under the microscope. So I started asking questions like, why did this happen to me? Why did this manifest in my life? But what the big realization for me was, I say that this was my first real spiritual, not awakening, but more of an understanding of what spirituality really is. But when I was sitting in my den watching myself on TV and seeing the way that I behaved because, oh, I'm critical and I'm gonna, I'm watching and listening and oh, wow, that's how I look. This is how I behave. This is how I responded. Well, wait, why did I say that? What did they just say? you know, I look a little hesitant here to respond. Am I nervous? Is there a fear there? Like all that kind of started registering with me, and I didn't necessarily like everything that I saw about myself. So it really kind of brought on this introspective microscope of myself. But then again, at the same time, I'm I'm so famous and everything is moving so fast, and I'm getting I'm able to experience things that most people don't. Well, and nobody in my world that I grew up in was able to, walk into any restaurant, any club, invited to all these parties and events and everything. And so I was getting um a view of a different world that operates on a whole nother level. And then about a year or two into being on the grind, this experience happened with me with this manager who came into my life and manipulated me and brainwashed me and ultimately molested me. And I was introduced to what many many people are talking about now, which is the Illuminati, the New World Order. um, People refer to it as the deep state or the cabal or the 1% elites that are running the world, the royal families, the bloodlines of the families that run the banking systems and all this stuff. But more importantly for me, what happened was when I became super famous. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Um, when I became, really famous and all this, and this information was being presented to me, that curiosity inside of me really got triggered. And so I realized quickly that I was just a number within an equation of a bottom line, of a budget, of a production in this corporate world. Um, and so when I got really excited to expand my horizons and evolve my career, I hit roadblocks with MTV. I had ideas, I had things I wanted to do. And anytime that I would bring it to them, I was kind of getting shut down. And I realized real quickly, I am just the host of the show. And I'm not Eric Nice, the host of the show. I'm like, barcode six seven
Right.
one four 6789 that is in this corporate equation of money.
Yeah.
And that um triggered me to go down the rabbit hole of why do we have the entertainment industry? What is media? Who created it? Where did it come from? What's its purpose? And then I looked at the word programming, right? Television
Mhm.
programming. What are we what are they programming? What programming am I watching? So there was this website that was up many years ago called killyourtv.com. And on that website, it had a very detailed description and explanation of the roots of media and who are the people that run the media company, who runs the news outlets and all that. So that happened for me 30 years ago. There was no internet. Nobody was publicly talking about the things that we all see today. And that for me was very, very difficult, because I have a big heart and I care about my friends and my family and being a peaceful, positive influence in the world. Bringing an open heart to everything that I do. And I realized at a very young age that, well, things are not what they seem. Um, and so that took me down a lot of different rabbit holes in a lot of different areas, in the entire system, global system, financial system, matrix system that we live in.
Yeah, and it is all
Um,
connected, and people
yep.
don't really understand that it is all connected, and the system looks out for itself
Hmm.
at every turn. But you've been
Hmm.
really open about struggles that have come with fame, addiction, self-worth issues, trauma that you've experienced. But can you share just a little bit about what the turning point was for you that just pulled you out of this system?
Yeah. Well, the manager, it basically looks like this. Years after what happened with me and this manager, I lost everything. And my my relationship with MTV on a certain level, I was making them a lot of money through my workout videos.
Mhm.
Um, I walked away from the Grind TV show, but continued to do the Grind workout videos, and they got less successful as I walked away from the show, and the show started to fall, without me as the host. Um, but what happened with my manager, I'll kind of bring two worlds together. So at that time in my life, I was in a self-destructive path when I was famous and hosting the Grind, and I was in a club scene 4 nights a week, and I'm a house head, and I love dancing, and that's how the Grind videos came about. And I didn't realize and understand that I was on a self-destructive path because of the trauma that I experienced in my life. And I wouldn't find out till many, many, many years later, because I created aspects of myself, protectors, controllers, and blocked the memories of being molested as a child. So I carried this trauma around with me, and because of the traumas in my childhood, I developed the addictions to help me to cope and manage from the anger and the rage and the pain that I was carrying around in my emotional body from the experiences in my life. um, and when that manager came into my life and that happened to me and I lost, my contract with Universal Studios, with MTV, my manager stole like $350,000 from me. I lost my apartment, I lost my car, I lost everything. But many, many years later, when got into plant medicine and I started working with ayahuasca, I was in the jungles of Peru, when I not long after the dark night of my soul happened. And I was in a ceremony one night, and I was really struggling and in a lot of discomfort and pain and just really battling on my mat. And after about an hour of that, I kind of screamed out in my head, like, what am I fighting? And like a flash, that manager appeared in front of me, and I heard, um, internally through spirit, and they basically said to me, if he didn't come into your life and do this to you at that time, you would be dead.
Mm.
You were on a self-destructive path. And there was a couple of times where I've almost overdosed, um, by being really irresponsible with drug use, because I was like the guy. I got a fire burning inside of me, and I'm a leader. I'm a number one, and I at that time I was leading people into my darkness. So it was either get on my train where I'm going, or get off, and we'll find somebody else to get on the train. And so when they presented that to me in that ayahuasca ceremony, that this guy came into your life, and um, you would be dead without him. They held me in that because I had all this rage and this anger, but then they took me into gratitude and thanking him for saving my life. So what I thought was the worst thing that had ever happened to me in my life actually turned out to be my greatest blessing. And that shifted my perception of human existence on such a scale that it's hard to comprehend. And then once I realized that this guy actually came into my life to save me, and I was thanking him for it, I cried for probably 2 hours in that ceremony, just deep, 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 deep crying. And and a lot, shifted in my life after that. But I've had a lot of those moments in my healing journey and my transformation. And so, an interesting thing is that, when I was in that very, very dark time in my life, um, after that happened to me with my manager, I was on the verge of suicide. I literally had a knife on my wrist one night, ready to take my life, because I felt like I had no way out after I lost everything. There was a series of events that happened after that, that really kind of pulled me back. And then I met my grandmaster, who was a eighth generation um, grandmaster from the Far East in Chinese medicine, acupuncture, 21 Dent black belt, 3 different martial arts. And when I met him and decided and chose for him to be my teacher and for him to guide me, one day he came up to me, and I didn't tell him anything about this guy and what happened to me. And he actually said that to me. He said, that guy, who you let do that to you? And I said, what? He said, yeah, the guy who you did that to you, and you very angry, yeah? And I was like, oh my God, like how the heck does he know that this happened? And he goes, in your future, he goes, he a good man. And in your future, you'll understand. And then that happened in the jungle.
Wow.
So my life has, been like this: masters, shamans, angels, demons, dragons, all of this for a very, very long time.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting. Like we really do come to realize that everything and everyone is so connected. Like we are all. There's
Hmm.
that quote from the movie or the book. I'm sorry, The Five People You Meet in Heaven, Mitch Albom, and he says you can no more separate one life from another than you can separate a breeze from the wind. And I really believe that's so true. We are all connected
100%.
in some way.
100%. What I've every and so everything that I'm sharing with you, or everything that I may share through this conversation, this is all from personal experience. Like what that quote that you just read,
Mhm.
I've personally experienced that in my own healing. I've remembered my past lives. I understand ancestral lineage trauma, and I understand ancestral lineage imprinting, ancestral lineage behavioral patterning, how things are passed down from generation to generation. A guy by the name of Billy Carson and other people talk about how coded within our DNA, we are carrying experiences and frequencies and imprinting frequency imprinting signatures that go back 15 generations.
Yeah.
And the elders and the shamans and different cultures who have their own prophecies of talking about the Mayans or the Hopi or the Sumerians or whoever it is. They talk about they have these prophecies about what was and what will be and where we are. And when you hear about the prophecy of the eagle and the condor by the Mayans and the Aztecs, and you hear about the rainbow bridge or the rainbow prophecy from the Hopi, and they talk about the end of times and the beginning of a new age, or the great awakening, or the great purification. So at some point I was like, okay, great purification. Purification of what? Great awakening to what? From where? Like what is it exactly that they're talking about? And so this information and the questions that I had about these things, would fuel me and would really um trigger me to look within myself for the answer. Because I've been betrayed and molested and raped by men and women when I was younger. So I grew up not trusting anybody.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I was in a safe environment that I grew up in, where I could express the feelings that I was having, the desires that I was having, the questions or the curiosity about, what does it mean to be attracted to a woman or attracted to a man or both, or what's this thing, what is being gay, or what is being bisexual? And now you have LBGTQ XYZ, and all the gender identity issues, and all of this separation and division and battling and opinions, and from on so many different levels.
Yeah.
Why are we so obsessed and confronted and overwhelmed with all of these issues that can continue to create separation and division within ourselves and collectively? So that just took me on a very, very deep spiritual path. That started for me on the real world. My grand master, I lived and trained with him for 7 years. He was profound on many levels. He could do what's called a vibrational reading, and he could access the Akashic records of a soul as soon as he touched your body. So he would tell me things about my past lives. He would tell me about, my future and my mission and why I came here, what star systems I came from, and all of that. So, I've been carrying around with me for a long time, an understanding, or what I perceive to be an understanding within myself about like what's going on here, and also based on the research that I've done, because of the information that was presented to me. And so I've been on a deep spiritual dive into the rabbit hole of my own body, my own soul, for a little over 30 years.
Wow. And I really love how I've heard you frame it in a way as just as remembering who we are, right? Like it's not
Hmm.
becoming something new. It's about unlearning what never really belonged to us in the first place. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Um, I wanted to, well, you know what? I'm up against a break, but when I come back, I want to get into the COVID narratives and that awakening, which is really what served as my awakening. So I'd love to get your opinion on some of that. Like I said, but I got a hard break to come up against, but we'll be back here in just a few moments. America Out Loud Talk Radio plays on the iHeartRadio network. You can also listen on our media player from any web browser anywhere in the world. We have the best in-class apps available on Apple, Android, or Alexa, 24/7, great talk radio. All of our shows go to podcast the following day. You can hear them on apps such as Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeart Podcast, and many more. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show on Apple Podcasts for me. Don't forget to check out our online store at americaoutloud.shop, where you can find all of the products that we represent on our network at a discounted rate, including an incredible line of products from Chemical Free Body. Unlike the majority of supplements you'll find on the market today, with Chemical Free Body, you won't have to worry about harmful ingredients, binders, fillers, or flow agents. Their ultra-safe breakthrough nano-silver technology destroys pathogens, balances the microbiome, and boosts immunity. All of these products are proudly made in the USA and are backed by an unheard of double your money back guarantee. I've made a twice daily Green 85 drink part of my routine, which has led to a decrease in belly bloat and an increase in my energy throughout the day. Use promo code OUTLOUD to save 20% off the Healthy Gut Bundle. I'll catch you on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
Have you been looking for a healthy snack for on the go, but all the energy and protein bars are just too sweet and full of sugar, preservatives, and mystery ingredients? Well, not all energy bars are soft and sugary. Bear Bars are a crunchy, savory bar made from just 6 simple, natural ingredients. They're plant-based, organic, packed with protein and nutrients, and are low-temp dried for a unique crunch. Most energy bars are based on chocolate or fruit and are held together with syrups and sweeteners, but Bear Bars are a delicious combination of veggies, nuts, and seeds. They're a perfect fast snack for hikes, workouts, and busy moms and dads. To learn more, just visit bearbar.com/outloud and get the exclusive discount just for America Out Loud listeners. That's BEARBAR.com/outloud.
Feeling run down, foggy, or constantly drained? Your body might be lacking the support it needs at the cellular level. Recharge from the Wellness Company is a doctor-formulated supplement designed to restore your energy, focus, and immune function. It features the first ever combination of methylene blue and urolithin A, clinically studied ingredients that support mitochondrial health, boost cellular repair, and enhance cognitive performance. With added NAD3, CoQ10, and PQQ, Recharge is the daily solution for deep lasting energy, not just a temporary boost. Visit twc.health/outloud and use code OUTLOUD for 20% off your first order. Power up your body and mind with Recharge.
In just 2 minutes per day, you can reclaim your health and cut your grocery bill in half with one simple, convenient product. Our doctor-formulated Green 85 juice formula's powerful dose of ultra-concentrated essential nutrients stops hunger in its tracks and supplies your cells with what's missing in the grocery store food. Go to chemicalfreebody.com/outloud today. Get nature's super multivitamin Green 85, empower your immune system, cut down on your grocery bill, and save 20% on your first order.
Only when the government bows to the people will America become great again. This is Malcolm Out Loud here. Join me in pushing back against censorship, my fellow Americans. Right at the top of AmericaOutloud.news are the words: many voices, one freedom, united in the First Amendment. Now is our time, my fellow Americans. AmericaOutloud.news. Liberty and justice for all.
Time and this is what.
Welcome back to Nurses Out Loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton. Wherever you're listening from today and whatever you're doing, I thank you for giving me the gift of your time. Be sure to make AmericaOutloud.news your daily stop for all the latest news and happenings. We all must do our part and share the stories, the articles, the podcasts, and videos so we can help secure America's future. If you're just joining us, I've been talking with reality TV star turned spiritual guide, Eric Neese. Let's jump right back in. Eric, thanks so much again for being here with me today.
Thank you.
I feel like we've covered so much already. I mean, you are just a wealth of information, and I mean, it's been incredible to talk with you. But I do want to talk a little bit about COVID, which was my awakening to kind of what's been happening really for far too long. But the past few years, it's shattered a lot of illusions, certainly for me. What was that period like for you? And did you ever speak out publicly about it? Or I'm almost certain you question the narratives at least.
Yeah, I mean, I do speak out publicly, about how I feel about everything. I have been over the years a little selective just because of the canceling, and then also um, people disappearing.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I experienced that a long time ago, around 2011, 12. I spoke out about a topic that I was researching for a little while, and the backlash that I got from my family and people that I grew up with, I was just way ahead of the curve.
Mhm.
Like what people are talking about now that is like big on a lot of platforms. I was talking about years ago, so I was alone.
Yeah.
Nobody else was talking about it. So, I couldn't say, oh, well, talk to this person or talk to that person, because I was receiving information way before a lot of people. So I I can kind of see things coming because I understand their playbook and how they do how they do these operations, to put, to be able to control and manipulate everybody,
Mhm.
billions of people. And so I do understand the playbook. But when COVID happened, it's funny because I have some friends who they check in with me from time to time, like, oh, what do you think's going to happen next? And, I knew something big was coming. I could feel it probably 6 months before. And then I started looking deeper into it, and I knew that, they were all gathering, sitting around a big table, doing a simulation of what it would look like if there was an outbreak like this. So they were talking about it years ago before it actually happened. And this is what this system does. It's almost like there's an agreement between light and dark, that the darkness um has to kind of signal before they're going to do something. And then if they do something, they have to put something up or expose something, so it can be decoded.
Mhm.
Right? Like they have to expose a little bit about themselves, because the reality of it is that our souls, we came here with the agreement of having amnesia, of not remembering who we are, where we came from. Because if all of us remembered and knew who we were and where we came from, we would know that fear is an illusion and that our light is more powerful than anything. But that you have to be in your power. You have to um, rid yourself of all of the trauma signature frequencies that we carry around in our earth suit, and all the emotional trauma that we've experienced, not just from this life, but from many, many lifetimes. And that's what the great purification and the great awakening is. But when COVID happened, I kind of saw this coming, and we were actually scheduled to shoot the reunion for the real world at that time. And I got to experience COVID because the day that we were starting to film, um, I was the first person that was going to be interviewed, because I was the first person in the loft on the show 30 years ago. And when I sat down, they were running tests on us all the time, and I got COVID and I wasn't even able to do my first interview. So they put me into a hotel room, and I said, because I knew that I was going to have to be there for 2 weeks being quarantined. And I said, well, whatever hotel room you're going to put me in, why don't you just throw a bunch of cameras in there and a microphone, and you can put me in the loft with everybody. And they're like, you'll do that? And I was like, I would rather do that than sit in a hotel room for 2 weeks doing nothing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
so
was
I
glad to
was,
see that they at least did that, because I'll tell you, I just recently watched the reunion and I was so bummed that you are not in the loft. I was like, oh, I can't believe it. And I kept
yeah.
hoping, like, I was like, maybe he's going to test negative and they'll let him in. And I was so kind of disappointed, but I'm glad you were at least able to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's amazing about that is, so here I am, I'm in my hotel room. I don't have access to all of the things that I would have done to heal myself from
Mhm.
it. So I was basically dealing with asking the production company to go out and get things for me so I could treat myself in there because they suggested that I take the vaccine. And I
Ugh.
was like, not a chance. You
Right.
are not putting anything that comes from the pharmaceutical industry and from the government and shooting it from a needle inside of my body. Not this
Amen.
temple. No
Amen.
way
And
ever.
they should never be recommending it. You don't give it when you actually actively have COVID. That you have to actually supposed to wait 90
Right.
days after infection. So that was just horrible anyway. But I loved the ice bath.
Yeah, well, I would have gone into saunas because what I wanted to do was actually induce my fever. I wanted to
Mhm.
heat my body up
Yep.
to kill off the virus.
Imagine that, like the
The
immune system. It's a beautiful thing.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, obviously, just ice baths is a completely biologically speaking, it creates a complete obviously ice and fire.
Mhm.
It creates a completely different environment and has different benefits for the immune system in that case. So
Yeah.
I thought, I might as well try it. But I was in a small bathtub. I didn't have enough that much ice. I couldn't do back to back ice baths, and they're delivering ice bags to me, day after day. I tried turning the heat up in the room and covering myself in blankets so I could sweat as much as I possibly could in there and create a sauna in the hotel room. Um, but what I really wanted, which is a lot of people don't know about this, is that after 2 weeks, legally, they can sign you out and then you can travel with a doctor's note. And so the 2 weeks was up, everybody was going home, and they were like, okay, you can go home. And I'm like, but I haven't tested negative. And they're like, oh, we're going to get you a doctor's note, and, we'll fly you home. And I was like, well, what about everybody else? What about all the
Right.
people that I'm going to interact with? And then I thought, oh, maybe if you guys get me a car, I'll just drive back. But they were like, no, we can put you on a plane. I was like, okay.
Well, I mean,
So,
honestly, it's a respiratory virus. It's going to be dead in 7 to 9 days anyway. And you can test positive for months and months after, which is why that never made any sense to me with, oh, they can't go here, there, or anywhere because they're not testing negative. Well, no kidding.
right.
You're likely not going to. But yeah, it's a respiratory virus dead in 7 to 9 days. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Well, my experience was, I lost my sense of smell and my temperature throughout 24 hours would go up to 104 to 104.5 degrees and then would go down as low as 96.7.
Wow.
And so I was on this roller coaster ride. And then, I would be way up high. And then as I was coming back to get cold, I would hit 98.7. I'd feel perfect and think, oh, it's gone. And then I would call them in. I think it's gone. Why don't you come in and give me a test? But, it never went away. But so when I left, I flew back to Los Angeles and nobody would let me stay with them. And I was trying to find a place, so I called a friend of mine, and she happened to be out of town, and she serves combo, which is frog poison medicine from the jungle
Mm,
that has these very special peptides in it. And
yeah.
so you basically, shoot this poison into your body. Your immune system says, alert, alert, there's a poison in the body, reverse systems, and you throw up or you sweat, but it's an incredible detoxer for the body. So I flew in that night. I woke up in the morning, and my friend just happened to have a combo stick in her apartment because she was out of town. So I served myself combo that morning, and within 25 minutes, I start purging, throwing up. And in the bucket, I literally see a demonic face.
I don't doubt it.
And what I perceived was this was the spirit of COVID leaving my body. And right after I did that combo session, it was gone and I was perfectly normal and healthy.
Amazing. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that here recently, and I'm going to do a deep dive into that as well. So that should be, maybe we can talk more about that after the show. Um, but there was such an intense push at that time, trust the science, right? But we're never questioning who funds that science. And
Yep.
they were saying, don't question the science. The very premise of science is based on a
Question it.
question. I'm like, so that's what I could never understand, Eric. I'm like, what do they mean, don't question the science? That is the entire premise of science, is a question. So, we saw that what happened to people who spoke out. We've been canceled, we've been vilified, silenced, banished from society. Our livelihoods were threatened. They threatened our licensure. But do you have a message now to those people who are waking up, but they're still afraid to speak out?
I mean, the message that I have to everybody, everywhere, all the time is your physical body, your earth suit is your temple. It is your church. It is your mosque. It is sacred ground, and it carries the light of creation, whether you want to call it source, God, spirit, Jesus, Muhammad, Kuan Yin, Buddha, Christ consciousness, whatever it is that decide that to be, that our physical body carries the light of creation, and we are creators. We create life. A man and a woman come together, create another life. We prove that every second of every day when a child is born. We are creators. We're creators. So, if humbly I'm saying this because I experience source within myself because of the spiritual journey that I've been on, because I've been looking within, thanks to the real world.
Yeah.
So, what am I? My physical body is made up of air, fire, water, and earth. These four elements. And I'm carrying the spirit and the light of creation. Well, water holds frequency. Water has memory. Information is stored and moves through water. Same with minerals. Same with fire. And the wind is moving, clouds are moving, and there's water in the clouds. So there's information everywhere,
Yeah.
inside of you and outside of you. You are nature. So if you want to, this is a big, a great question, but it's a lot to unpack. So on the physical level, if you want to be healthy, then you need to feed or absorb in your cells of your body things that have life force energy that have not been processed or manipulated from nature, because you are nature.
Yeah.
That's number one on the physical level. So stay away from processed foods. Make sure you drink clean water. It's very simple physically,
Yeah.
without getting into all the details of it. You are a living, breathing organism. You are air, fire, water, and earth. So put living food energy in your body, and your immune system will be strong, and you will be able to fight off illnesses and diseases. And then if you do get an illness or you do get a virus or something, you have an immune system that's strong enough to figure out how to get rid of it.
Yeah. And then it
Because there's a
offers protections. It offers immunity and protections to things like cancer. Then nobody talks about that. How
right.
when you get a measles infection and then you get lifelong immunity and
Hmm.
protection from future illnesses or cancers. But I think, it really is simple. Like you said, physically, it is simple. when we talk about things like breath work, plant medicine,
Mm-hmm.
fasting, nature. I mean, we are a part of nature. Meditation, which is something I'm
Mm-hmm.
very have been getting more and more into, an energetic clearing, whatever resonates most with you. But I think that people need to hear that healing is not it's not linear, right?
No.
It's not always beautiful. It's messy and it's painful,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's worth it. It's
No,
worth
well,
it to take that journey.
I'll get even deeper. I'll go. If you want to go deep, I'm going to go. I'll go super deep. Now let's talk about the emotional body, because
Mhm.
what I've experienced, and from my own personal research within myself, and also reading some books, and looking into the life path of other individuals whose names have lasted throughout the ages, and millions of people follow them. So, why do people follow them? And what did they do in their life that was so profound that it was worth recording what they did in history, and their names have lasted for a long time. So emotionally speaking, when we talk about the emotional body, what happens to the physical body when you have a traumatic emotional experience, and you're feeling all of this energy from this traumatic emotional experience, but you don't feel like you're in a safe place to talk about or express what it is that you're feeling. So what happens to that energy? If I'm air, fire, water, and earth, and minerals hold energy, water holds information, now I'm holding on to all of these emotions in my body from this experience that I had. And guess what happens when you have a lot of emotion in your body that stays in your body? It builds pressure. And this is where anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, all these you develop all of these things because you're not feeling like you're in a safe place to feel these emotions, because they're uncomfortable, and you don't feel comfortable or safe to talk about it with somebody, because you're probably in an environment like your home with your mom and your dad, where you're being abused or whatever it is that's happening to you. And so now you're carrying these emotions with you around for the rest of your life. That All those emotions that are in your body, some of them go into different areas of your body, where there's your kidney, your liver, your stomach, your throat, your heart, and that shuts down your chakra system. So your chakra system slows down, so energy is not flowing in and out of your body at a steady rate. And as that pressure builds inside of you, it creates dis-ease
Yep.
with inside of your body. I personally feel, based off of what I've experienced, that all dis-ease comes from the emotional body, because the emotional body creates stress in your physical body.
Yeah, I agree. It
And
manifests
then,
into physical symptoms. Absolutely.
correct. And then what happens now? We're getting into programming, because this is what you mentioned in the beginning of the show. If you want to talk about deprogramming, so what happens to the mind while you're carrying around all these emotions and you don't feel safe to process them and express them? Now, what stories do the mind start to create?
Yeah.
And who's talking about ancestral lineage programming? Because we grow up in an environment with our families, and those behavior patterns, those behaviors, and that programming gets passed down from generation to generation, or generation, and we're thinking a certain way based off of the environment that we grow up in, or whatever it is that we're absorbing in the environment that we're in. And what I've personally experienced as I've gone through my dark night of the soul and the healing of my ancestral lineage. I've done 700 ayahuasca ceremonies, and I've done at least 300 ayahuasca ceremonies by myself, specifically focusing on healing my ancestral lineage, and also the lineage of my soul. So I finished and completed the healing of my ancestral lineage and the healing of my soul. And through all of that, remembering where I came from, what lives I experienced in the past, and what I came here to do, what I'm here to anchor on planet Earth. And this is why I do the work that I do as a spiritual guide. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm walking people home to themselves, helping them to clear the ancestral lineage trauma and the programming so they too can remember who they are and why they're here. And this is the great purification of souls and the great awakening of souls.
Yeah, wow. I mean, to me, there's just nothing more powerful than someone who has transmuted pain into purpose. That's what you've done. You've walked through the fire and you're now guiding others through theirs. I think it's beautiful. And and I will say that about you, Eric, is that from when I watched you back when Real World was on, I was 14 years old. But I would watch and I always you were my favorite of all of the cast members. Thank you so much, Eric, for being here. And we're going to have to find other ways to collaborate because 52 minutes is just not long enough for these types of
I
conversations.
we knew that. We knew that
We
before
knew
we
that
got
going
on.
in. But thanks again for being here, Eric.
Yeah, thank you. And I said this to you earlier. Um, just want to say thank you and a lot of gratitude, for you choosing to come out and to speak your truth and what you saw, um, in your little bubble of the world, and to have the courage and the strength to come out and to speak about it, and then to create this platform to inform others.
Yeah.
So, just a
Thank
real
you.
honor to meet you, and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Eric. God bless you.
God bless you too. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you. And that is
Aloha.
all. Aloha. That is all the time that we have for today, friends. But remember, we are here on the air 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern with a different nurse host daily. You can also catch the encore at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please be sure to tune in and listen to myself and these courageous nurses. As we walk you through all of these hot topics, we will empower you with information and education. We will advocate and we will stand in the gap for you because we are nurses and this is what we do. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton. You can find me here every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Until next time, be safe, be well, and God bless.
It's time